there YouTube, I'm Kishan, and in this video we are going to create this amazing responsive admin dashboard. This dashboard has been created in React with style components and it also has some animations. Let me reload the page. So these are the animations. I'll again reload it. Then we have this charts here which also has the animation. This is the sidebar. We have hover effects on these. Then this is the Navbar. This has a area chart. It is also customized. We have used Recharts library for charts. Then we have this beautifully styled progress bars. Then we have this bar charts. This is also customized. Then we have this listeners now. This also has a bar chart. This is a chart actually, and this has this scroll section, and we have this player. So this is it. I'll also show you the responsive mode. Let me switch it to the responsive mode now. Okay, so this is the responsive mode. You can see that in the responsive mode, the links in the sidebar are hidden. The layout of the navbar has changed, and pretty much all the dashboard is stacked up now. So you can see that. So this is responsive. I'll increase the size somewhat. I'll have to reload it for the charts to resize. Okay, so you can see that this is responsive. Okay, so without wasting any more time, let's get started. If you like this design, please subscribe to the channel, and if you have any questions, please ask those in the comment section. So let's get started. So now I have created this base layout. You can find this base layout in the description of the video. Just download the code from the GitHub repository, and after extracting it, just open up your terminal and write yarn to install the dependencies. So this may take time depending upon your network condition. I'll pause the video. Okay, so the dependencies have been installed. Now we'll start the React application by yarn start. So this is just the basic setup we had made in the template. I'll show you the files now. So inside this, I have removed all the clutter files we have when we create the React app. Now we have this JSON config for the absolute imports. Now inside the index.css, we have imported the exo fonts from fonts.google.com. Then we have some variables defined from the root selector. Then this is gonna be primary color, and we have this char selector for the default, removing the default margin and padding from all the HTML elements. Then we have this scroll behavior smooth inside the HTML. Then we have background image of assets background.jpg, which is this gradient. Then we just defined some height of the image. Then inside this we have all the components we need, and our main entry point is that app.js. This is the sidebar, this one. Then this dashboard is this dashboard, and here we have the right sidebar. So some basic setup has been created, so this doesn't waste your time. Now let's get started to design this sidebar. Now we are inside the sidebar.jsx. We'll start the styling of sidebar. So I have already imported this React icons. You can find this in the template link which I gave in the description, or you can just write it out. So now inside the aside, we'll have we'll give this aside an ID of sidebar. For this would be useful when we'll create the animations. Then we have an class name with a brand. Inside this we are gonna write the RI Meteor's cloud music line icon. Then after this we have an UL with class name of links. Then we have li with a class name of selected. Inside this li we have this si analog. Now we'll just have 4 li's. Inside this li we have the hi outline music node. Then we have this bi bell. Then we have this ai outline dollar circle. Then we have this bi group. Save this, and after this ul we have this div with a class name of help. Inside this we are going to use the fi help circle. I'll save this, and we'll just see that the icons would be here, but because of this black color it is not visible. So I'll just shrink the screen and we'll style the component now. Here some base style has already been applied. We have given this background color the height of 100%. We have given this a width, a padding of 2 rem, display flex, and flex direction of column. Now we'll write align items of center, justify content of space between, and now first we'll select the help svg. Select the svg. I think first we'll select all the svg and give it a color of var primary color. Yeah, so now all the svgs are visible. Let's give it a font size also. We'll give it a font size of 1.5 rem. Yeah, that's looking good. Now head over to this help svg. We'll give it a cursor of pointer. Then we'll give it a color of white. We'll give it a transition of 0.5 seconds. Is in out. This would be is in out, and this would be help. Okay, you can see that the color has been changed, and now when we hover over this, we need the color of the svg to the primary color. Let's test it. Okay, it's not working. We should write svg, and this should be inside the svg. Okay, now it's working. You can see that there is a smooth transition here. Now after this svg we are gonna select and brand and give it the font size of 2.5 rem. 2.5 rem. Yeah. Now we'll select the links. We'll give it a display of flex direction of column, gap of 2 rem. Save this. Okay. Now we'll give it a list style type of none to remove the bullets. It's not visible, but the bullets are there. Then we'll select the li. We'll give it a border radius of 1 rem, and we'll give it a padding of 0.5 rem. Now we'll copy that transition. We'll paste it here, and we'll give it a cursor of pointer, display of flex, justify content center, align items center. We'll select the SVG inside this and give it a color of white. We just want to give the green color to the selected and anything we hover. So also we'll have the hover. First we'll give it a box shadow. Box shadow. Box shadow would be 0, 0, 60 pixels, 8 pixels, and the color would be the primary color. So this box shadow will have the glow effect. You can see that there's a glow effect now. And after this, we'll select an SVG. We'll give it a color of var primary color. Okay, so this has been styled. Now we just have to select the selected. We'll copy this dark shadow from here, not only the box shadow, this all thing, and we'll paste it here. Also we'll give it a background color. No, we don't need a background color. That's pretty much it. So our sidebar has been styled. Yeah, our sidebar is complete. So now we'll move over to this dashboard, the navbar. Open the navbar.jsx, and inside this we don't want this section here. Instead we'll use the nav, and here this would be nav instead of section. Inside this, first we have an h2 of overview. Then we have a div with a class name of timeline. Inside this we have a span which has content as last 30 days. Then we have an icon which is bi chevron down. This is already imported, I think. Yeah, so our navbar is here. Let's style it. First we'll give it a display of flex, justify content of space between. Okay, it's looking good. Now we'll give it a color of white, so all the font would be in white color. We'll give it a margin of 2 rem on all the sides. We'll select the timeline and we'll give it a display of flex. I'll switch the screen to this side so you can see that display of flex, justify content of center, align items of center, cursor pointer. So when we hover over this, we have this cursor. Then we'll select the SVG, and for the SVG we'll give it a color of var primary color. Then we'll give it a font size of 2 rem. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Our navbar is completed. We have designed our navbar component. Now we'll create the streams card. So head over to the VS Code. Let's head over to the streams.jsx. Streams.jsx. Okay, we'll remove this. Okay, in the stream.jsx, I have already imported the files we need from Recharts, the components, then this logo images, then we have this chart data. We'll get this from the template. We have this slider data. Okay, now let's start by a div with a class name of title container. Inside this we have the title. We'll have h4 inside this with streams, and h1 inside this, and content would be the amount. Now after this div we have another div with a slider class name. Inside this we have div with services class name. We'll use the JSX now. We'll map the slider data. We'll destructure image and service name, and we'll have the arrow function, and we'll return the markup. The markup would have a div with the class name of service. We'll also provide a key to this of service name. Inside this, we first have the image. Image source would be the image, and the alt would have the service name. We'll now have the h6, and the h6 would have the service name. Okay, so that's it. Now we have the chart. We have the responsive container. Inside this we'll have a height of 100%. This should be in strings, 100%. We will also have width of 100%. Now inside this we have an area chart. This has the data as data. Now we are gonna define a defs. Inside defs we have a linear gradient. Inside the linear gradient we have the stop. We'll copy this, paste this. Now inside this linear gradient we'll give it the ID of color view. We'll give it a x1 is equals to 0, y1 would be 0 as well. Then we'll give it a x2 of 0 and a y2 of 1. Now we'll give it an offset of 10%, and we'll give it a stop color of where primary color, and we'll give it a stop opacity of 0.4. I'll save this. I'll just copy this and replace that with this stop, and here I'll just have the stop opacity at 100%. The stop color would be hashtag 0000000 and ff, and the stop opacity would be 0.2. So that's pretty much it for the depth. Then we have this tooltip, and now we have our area chart. Area, we'll give the type as monotone. This should be string monotone. We'll give data key as data. We'll give it a stroke property, and the stroke would be the primary color, which is the green color. Primary color. Now we'll also provide a stroke width, and the stroke width would be 2. The fill would be our linear gradient which we created. We'll use it by URL hashtag the color view, and we'll give it an animation begin of 800. So after 800 milliseconds the animation will begin, and the duration would be 2000 milliseconds, which is equal to 2 seconds. So that's pretty much it for the markup. You can see that markup is here. The chart won't be here. We have to give a static height to the chart container. So let's style this. Inside this, what we'll do is first we'll apply the card styles. Apply card styles. Now we'll give it a color of white. Then we'll select the title container. We'll give it a display of flex and the justified content of space between. So now as you can see that we have space in between. Now we'll select the title and select the H1. Give it a font size of 2 rem. Now we'll give it a letter spacing of 0.2 rem. 0.2 rem. Okay, now we'll select the slider, select the services, give it a display of flex direction of column, justify content of center, and align items, not align content, align items of center. Yeah. Why didn't it applied? Did we provided the right class name? Services. Yeah, the services are here. Let's reload this. Okay, the style should have been applied, but it isn't applying. Okay, so we made a mistake. This would be services here, and this would be service. We'll give it a display of flex and a gap of 1 rem. Yeah, this should work now. Yeah. Now we'll give it a gap of 0.6 rem. We'll give it a min width of 5 rem. And we'll select the image and reduce the size to 2 rem. Yeah, that's looking good. Now we just have to give our chart and height of 10 rem. The chart would be here now. Yeah, the chart is here. Now let's design this tooltip, the custom tooltip. For that, we'll select the Recharts default tooltip, and first we'll give it a background color of where dark background color, and we'll mark this as important so it overrides the styles. Yeah. Now we'll give it a border of none. We'll also mark this as important to override the styles. Important. We'll give it a border radius of 1 rem and a box shadow of 0 0 60 pixels, 8 pixels, and a var of primary color. Yeah, so our chart has been styled, you can see that. So our stream section is completed. The width of this would be auto arranged when we add the earnings here, so it would shrink down. So now let's head over to VS Code and design the earnings card. Head over to the earnings.jsx. Inside this, first we have the title container dot title. We have the h4 as earnings. We have h1, which would be $7, 5, whatever the content, it doesn't matter. Then we have the span with a class name of more, and we'll have the show more inside this. After this div, we have the earnings div, earnings, and we're gonna have the earnings data. Earnings data, we don't have the earnings data here. We'll create it here by const earnings data is equals to progress would be 45 and amount would be 3125. Save this. We will copy this, paste it 3 times, and we'll change the content inside this. This would be 2731, this would be 65, this would be 1311, 1313, and this would be 100% completed. So let's map that inside this. We'll write earnings data, earnings data dot map. Will destructure the progress and will also destructure the amount. We'll write the arrow function, return the JSX, which would be earning. This also has the key attribute as amount. Then we have a class name with data. We have h5. This would be if the progress is triple equals to 100, we are gonna write the text as funds cleared, or else we want to write as clearing. Now after this we have the progress. Sorry for that. This is auto closing. This is an input element provided by HTML5. The max would be 100 and the value would be progress. We'll give it a class name based on the progress. If progress triple equals to 100, we want the class name of cleared, or else we don't want to provide any class name. This should be the question mark. Yeah, it's done. So our markup is complete. Let's head over. Yeah, the markup is here. I think we left some styles into the dashboard.jsx. We might need to complete it first so the layout is proper. We'll go to dashboard.jsx, and inside here we forgot to apply some styles. We'll give it a grid, and grid has a padding of 2 rem, padding top of 0. Then we'll give it a display of grid template rows of 1fr 1fr. Then we have a gap of 1 rem. We'll select the row and give it a display of grid template columns of 2fr and 1fr, and we'll give it a gap of 1 rem. We'll select the row 2, give it a display of grid template columns of, this should be columns not rows, columns of 1fr 2fr. We'll give it a gap of 1 rem, and here this should be columns not rows, columns. Yeah, so our content is here. We just need to reload. Yeah, it's perfect now. Let's head over and style this earnings now. So first we are gonna apply the card styles, which is apply card styles. Then we'll give it a color of white. we'll give it a display of flex direction of column, and we'll copy the title container styles from here. We're just gonna copy this, paste it here. Okay, so now after this we have the more. We'll give it a color of where primary color. Yeah, that's completed. Now we'll have the earnings. We'll give it a width of 100%, so it would stretch. It should have stretched, but it is not. Then we'll give it a flex of 1. Then we will give it a display of flex, display flex direction of column, and justify content space evenly. The width 100% is not working. I don't know why. We'll fix that in some time. We'll select the earning and we'll give it a display of flex direction of column. We'll give it a gap of 0.1 rem. Then we'll select the data inside, give it a display of flex direction of space between, not flex direction, there should be justify content of space between. We'll select the h5, give it a font weight of 100. Now we'll select the progress. We'll give it a width of 100%. Yeah, it's working now. And we'll remove the default styles by WebKit appearance of none. We'll also give it an appearance of none. Now we are going to style this by WebKit progress bar. We'll remove this, and first we'll give it a border radius of 1 rem, a height of 0.15 rem. This should be 0.15, and we'll just copy this, and instead of progress bar we'll write progress value. We'll have the border radius, we'll remove this height, and instead of height we'll write background color of orange. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Now after this we are gonna select the cleared, and we are gonna copy this. We just want to change the color to where primary color of the completed. Okay, it's here. The amount is not showing. I don't know why. Did we forget to write it? We have the data. We have the data here, and we have this h5. Yeah, we also have this another h5 with the class name of amount, and here we'll just write the amount, and We'll interpolate it with a dollar. Yeah, the amount is here. You can see that. So this earnings card is also completed now. We can move on to the target audience now. I'll open the VS Code. Head over to the target audience. Here we have already imported this data. So now inside this section, we'll first have the title container. Inside that we have a div with a class name of title. We have h4 as target audience. Then we have this ds 3 dots icon, and after this we are gonna have the chart. For the chart, we'll go to the streams and we'll just copy this markup we wrote, and in the target audience, after this we'll paste it. Now here this is an area chart and we don't need the area chart. We'll replace this with a bar chart. Okay, here we have passed the data. We'll also have our fixed height and width. For this, width would be 500 and height would be 300. Now this depth would be the same, and the tooltip would have a cursor property and it will have a fill of 3D741D7A. Okay. Okay, then after this we don't have this area, instead we have bar. Then we don't need this type, instead we'll write stack id equal to a. Data key would be uv. Then we don't need this stroke and stroke width. Fill would be same, and animation begin and animation duration would be same. Yeah, so markup is complete. I'll shrink this. Now what I'll do is I'll head over to the stream.jsx. I'll just copy this title container, move to the target audience, paste it. Now we have a display of flex here, flex direction of column, and justify content of space between. We don't need the flex here, and the justify content will write instead margin bottom of 1 rem, margin bottom. Now the title has display of flex and justify content of space between. This should be between. Okay. Instead of this h1, we will have the svg. We'll give it a color of where primary color, and we will also give it a font size of 1.3 rem, and we'll give it a cursor of pointer. So yeah, that's styled. Now after all of this, we'll select the chart. We'll give it a height of 13 rem. chart height 13 gram. Why it is not working? Did we do something wrong? Bar chart data. Okay, this should be a bar like this. Yeah, the chart is here. Now we are gonna copy this tooltip from the streams. We'll copy this into the chart of here. Yeah, so our target audience is also styled and completed. We just have to style this top releases now. Refresh this. The top releases, we just have to style this now. Create and style it. So I'll head over to my VS Code. We are inside the top releases.jsx. Now inside this, I have already imported the content. And now here we'll write the markup as title container. We have div with a class name of title. We have h4 as top releases. Then we have filters. Inside this we have a span of all releases. Then we have button. Inside this we have new release. After this we have an div with a class name of musics, and we are going to map the music dot map. We'll destructure the title, then the place and the image. This would be an arrow function. We'll return the markup as follows. We'll have the div with a class name of music. We have the key attribute here, and this would be the title. We have the details here. Inside the details we have the image with the source of image, and alt would be the title. Then we have the info. Inside info we have an h5 of title. We have an h6 of place, and we'll interpolate it with kplace. And after this we have an icon of bs chevron right. So yeah, the markup is that pretty much it. Okay, I think something is messed up here. Okay, so I think I know the mistake. We'll go to the dashboard.jsx, and here we have a spelling mistake. This should be row 2. Let's refresh this. Okay, yeah, this is working now. It is. Now let's head over to the top releases. We will need to style it. We'll first have the height of no, we just need to import the card styles. Apply card styles. We'll give it a color of white. Save it. Yeah, it's here. We'll have the title container. Inside this we have title. No, we don't need to style the title. It's perfect. We'll select the filters. Inside these filters, we have button to style. We'll style it afterwards. We'll select the musics and give it a display of grid. Let me shrink this. Display of grid and a grid template column of 1FR and 1FR. Yeah, this is looking much nicer. Now we'll also give it a gap of 1 rem. Inside the musics, we'll select the music. We'll give it a border bottom of 0.1 rem solid, and the color would be 242424. Now we'll give it a width of 100%. We'll give it a display of flex and align items of center and justify content or space between. Should be between. Okay. Now we'll select the details inside this. Details, give it a display of flex, gap of 1 rem. We'll select the image, give it a height of 2.5 rem. I think we should give it a 3 rem. Yeah, this is looking good. Now we'll select info, give it a display of flex direction of column. We'll give it a gap of 0.3 rem. Then we'll select the H6 and give it a font weight of 100, so it would be lighten. Yeah, this is looking great. We just have to style this title container now. So we have to give a display of flex here, justify content of space between. Then we need to give it align items of center. Margin bottom should be of 1.5 rem. Yeah, it's looking good. Now we'll select the filters and give it a display of flex. Then we'll give it a align items of center, gap of 3 rem. Okay. We'll give it a color of where primary color. Now we'll select the button and we are gonna copy this and give it to the background color. Now we'll give it a border of none. Border radius of 0.5 rem. We'll give it a padding. This is padding. Where is button? Okay, it is here. Padding, and it should be 0.5 rem and 0.8 rem respectively. That's it. And we'll give it a font weight of bolder and the cursor of pointer. This should be bolder. Yeah, this is looking good. And we have styled our top releases also. So we just have to style this right sidebar now. It's only left. We'll head over to VS Code now. Maximize this. So now we'll head over to the right sidebar. We have to create this first. We'll apply an ID of right sidebar. We'll import the avatar component. Then we need the active listeners, and we have the player. Now let me shrink this so you can see the styling we are going to apply. We'll give it a height of 100%, width of 100%. We'll give it a background color of where dark background color. Okay, so it's there. We'll give it a padding of 0 and 3 rem to left and right. Okay, so we need padding top of 2 rem and a padding of 0 and 3 rem. They should be above this. And now we'll write a media query. We are going to copy the media query from the app.js. And here we'll just copy this. The padding should be 2 rem and padding top should be 2 rem. We don't need this because it already here, this is padding top. We do need this because this override the styles. Okay, that's done. So now let's head over to the active.avatar.jsx and we are gonna style this. We have already imported the content. We'll write the markup. We have an image class name. Inside this we have an image. Source would be the avatar. Alt would be avatar. Then we have a name. Name would have a span of kishansheth. This should be your name here. We'll write BI chevron down as the icon. Save it. Now that's it. We have to just style it. First we'll give it a color of white. Then we'll give it a display of flex, align items of center, gap of 1 rem, padding bottom of 1 rem, and we go to the top releases and we'll copy this border bottom and paste it here. Then we'll select the image. Inside this image we'll have the image and shrink the image to 3 rem. Now we'll apply a border radius of 2 rem. Okay, that's done. Now we'll select the name, give it a display of flex, align items of center, gap of 0.5 rem. We'll select the SVG, we'll select the color, give it a var primary color. Okay, this should be primary color, and give it a font size to 1.3 rem. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Our avatar is styled. Now we'll style the active listeners. I'll maximize this. So now we'll move on to active listeners. And here I have already imported this. Now here I'll write title container. Inside this we have title. We have h4 as listeners now. After this we have an h1 of current listeners. After this div we have an chart div. Inside this we have an %, which would be plus 12.3%. We'll head over to the streams.jsx and we are gonna copy this responsive container inside the active listeners. After this, we are gonna paste it. It didn't copied. We have to copy it again. Copy active listeners, paste it. Yeah, that's it. Now after this, we'll leave two divs and create another div with a class name of active. We'll map the countries. This would be the scrollable section. We need the data and the index. This should be the arrow function and this should be the parameters. This should be encapsulated inside the brackets. Now we'll return markup, which would be country with a div with a class name of country. Then we have key as the index. We have the name. Inside the name we have an image. Source would be data.image and alt would be data.name. Then we have h5 of data.name. After this we have an h5. This would be data.amount and will interpolate in percentage here. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Our markup is ready. Let's see it. Data is not defined and tooltip is not defined. I think we have to change. Okay, I forgot to import the data, so I'll head over to the. I'll do one thing. I'll just paste the data here, and you can copy that from the template. In your version of template, there would be the data here. So okay, so I have pasted the data and the countries array. Now I'll head over and refresh this. Okay, tooltip is not defined. We need tooltip. Refresh this, and I think we messed something up. This should be countries dot map. Yeah. Okay, so the countries flags are here. We just have to make this a scrollable section. So for that, we'll open the VS Code as shrink. Now, first we'll select the active. No, not the active. Yeah, we'll select the active. Inside active, we'll give it a max height of 11 rem and an overflow of auto. Yeah, that's looking good. Now we'll style other things first, then we'll come over to this. We'll give it a border bottom of 0.1 rem solid. The color would be 242424. We'll give it a color of white. We'll select the title container. Give it a display of grid template columns of 1fr 1fr. Okay, we have to fix that. We'll select the chart inside this. We'll give it a position of relative. Will So now we'll give it a height of 4 rem. This should be height, and this is 4 rem, and we'll give it a width of 100%. Width 100%. Yeah. So the chart has the position relative, and the percent would have a position of absolute. Position absolute. We'll give it a top of 0. Right of 0. I think we have to give it a left of 0. Yeah, left of 0. Then we'll give it a color of where primary color. We'll give it a font size of 0.8 rem. We'll reload this. Yeah, the chart is here, you can see that. And now we are gonna remove the tooltip. We don't need the tooltip. Yeah, we don't need the tooltip, and we'll also remove the import of the tooltip. We don't need that. We will also remove this. Now what we are gonna do is, in the active, give it a display of flex direction of column, gap of 1 rem. We'll give it a padding right of 1.5 rem. We'll give it a margin of 1 rem and 0. We'll select the H5, give it a font weight of 100. Select the country, give it a display of flex, align items of center, justify content of space between. This should be between. We'll select the name, give it a display of flex, gap of 1 rem. Now we'll have the align items of center. We'll select image now, give it a height of 2 rem and a border radius of 2 rem as well. There should be border radius. Yeah, that's it. Now we just have to style the scroll bar. For that, we are gonna use the WebKit scroll bar. So here inside, we'll write WebKit scroll bar, and we'll give it a width of 0.2 rem first. Then we'll give it a background color of 6E, C3, and the thumb would have a background color of hash V8, yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty much it, and this is also styled. I think, yeah, I think we have to apply a padding top of one run. We have messed something up here. We need to see that. Title container display grid width should be 100%. With 100%. Then, okay, we have to style the title. We'll select the H4, give it a font size of 0.8 run. Margin bottom of 0.2 run. Then we'll select the H1, give it a font size of 1.5 run. We'll give it a letter spacing of 0.2 run. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We have styled this. This is complete. We just have to style the player now. So we'll head over to VS Code. Now we'll head over to the player.jsx. Here we have already imported the content. We will also have import use state from React. We'll create a state as is playing and set is playing is equals to use state true. Now inside this we have an div with the class name of background. Inside that we have the image. The image would be the main music. Here we'll write the main music as well. After this div we have a div with the class name of player. Inside that we have a class name div with the class name of details. We have h6 with the class name of track, and the content is the album name. Then we have input type equal to range, and we'll give it a class name of range. Then after this we have the controls, and for the controls we'll just write the controls first. Be skip previous. This is bi skip previous. Then we'll have the bi skip next. This is self-closing tags, so we have to do that. We skip next and we skip previous. And now on based on is playing, we'll have conditionally render the bs fill, pause fill, or the bs fill play fill. This should be inside brackets. Now we'll have an on-click function here. On-click, we'll pass in a function here and we'll write set is playing as not is playing. I'll copy this. Same thing goes to here. Save it. So yeah, our markup is complete. We just need to style this now. So first we'll give it a position of relative. Then we'll give it a margin top of 1.3 rem. We'll select the background, select the image, we'll select the width as 100%, height as 100%, border radius as 1 rem. We'll select the player and give it a position of absolute, not relative. We'll give it a bottom of 0, give it a height of 100% and a width of 100% as well. We'll apply a background of linear gradient. This would be to bottom with transparent at 0% and black all the way to 100%. Save it. This should be transparent. Yeah, it's working. Now we'll select the details, give it a position of absolute, give it a bottom of 1 rem, we'll give it a color of white, select the text align to center, display flex, flex direction of column, align items of center, and a gap of 0.4 rem. Then we'll also give it a width of 100%. Now we'll select the track, give it a font weight of 100. Then we'll give it a font size of 1 rem. We'll select the letter spacing as 0.5 rem. We'll give it a text transform of uppercase. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the track. Now we'll select the range and the controls. We'll write range, we'll style it later. First we'll write the controls. Margin top would be 0.3 rem. Give it a display of flex, align items of center, gap of 1 rem. We'll select the SVG, font size would be 1.8 rem and cursor would be pointer. Yeah, so this is also working our state. We just have to style this now. For the range, we'll give it a width of 80% first. Then we'll give it an appearance of none. Also, we'll apply the WebKit appearance of none. Now we'll apply a background color of FF76 and we'll give it a border radius of 1 rem. We'll give it the height of 0.3 rem. This should be 0.3 rem. Yeah. Okay. So this is good. Okay, that's pretty much it. We have styled everything. So our dashboard is complete. We just have to add the animations and the responsiveness. So firstly, we'll add the animations now. So I'll head over to VS Code. So for animations, we'll head over to the dashboard first, and here we are gonna import use effect hook from React. We'll also import the scroll reveal. Remove this. We'll write use effect an empty array, and inside this we'll have the const sr is equals to scroll reveal. We'll pass some properties here. Origin would be bottom, then we'll pass a distance of 80 pixels, then we'll give it a duration of 2000 milliseconds and a reset of false. Now we are going to reveal it by sr.reveal. We'll have the nav, then the dot row and dot row 2, and we'll pass opacity of 0 and an interval of 100. Let's test it. Yeah, that's working. You can see that. We just have to give animation to this sidebar and this sidebar now. For that, first I'll copy this. I'll head over to app.js, paste it here. Then I'm also going to copy this use effect hook inside this. I'm going to paste it here, and I am going to create this and name is sr2.reveal. This has the origin of right, and I'll just provide right sidebar here. This should be right sidebar. This should be just the sidebar, and we don't want to give the interval property, so we'll remove those, and this here would be from left. Save it. Okay, so the animations are completed. You can see that both of them are working. Okay, so the animations are complete. Now we have to make this responsive. You can see that currently it is not responsive. So we'll head over to VS Code and install this. So now we'll head over to app.js and we are gonna copy this media query, paste it inside this dashboard at the end, and we'll give it the height of max content. Let me shrink this so you can see the things we are doing. Height would be max content. Grid would have grid template columns of 1fr. Padding would be 1 rem. Height would be max content. Dot row and the dot row 2 would have grid template columns of 1fr. Okay, yes, it is working. It is messy, but it has this grid template has changed to 1fr. Okay, so now let's head over to the sidebar. In the sidebar, at the end we'll paste the media query and we'll give it a width of 100%, a padding of 1 rem, and we'll hide the links and the help section. We'll give it a display of none. Okay, we are good to go. Now we'll head over to the streams card. So in the streams.jsx, at the end, we'll paste the media query. We'll give it a height of 100%. Then we'll select the title container. We'll give it a flex direction of column. Give it a gap of 0.5 rem. We'll select the title. Give it a text align. This should be text align. Then we have the slider after this. The services. We'll give it a display of grid and a grid template columns of 1FR. 1FR. We'll select the service. Give it a gap of 0.5 rem. Min width of 1 rem. Okay, so that is style. This would decrease the size when we have fixed all of this. Now we'll go to the earnings.jsx, and inside that, at the end, we'll paste the media query. First, we'll give it a height of 100%. Select the title container and give it a flex direction of column. Flex direction of column and a text align of center. Yeah, that's it. That's working. Now let's head over to the navbar. Did we style this? No, it's remaining. We'll paste the media query here, and inside the navbar, we'll first let's head over here and give it a flex direction of column, align items of center, margin of 1 rem, a margin bottom of 0, and we'll select the timeline and give it a gap property of 1 rem. Yeah, that's it. So that is style. Now let's head over to the top releases. Yeah, this one we have to style this. Before going there, I think we should style the right sidebar. Right sidebar. We already have this. Then let's go to top releases. Then top releases, inside this, what should we do? Yeah, we'll have the title container. And give it a flex direction of column, gap of 0.5 rem. We'll select the filters, give it a flex direction of column as well, gap 0.5 rem. We'll select the musics, give it a grid template columns of 1FR. Yeah, that is working. I think we should reload this. Okay, so the responsiveness is complete. You can see that the template is now completely responsive. I'll close this, I'll reload this, and you can see that we have the animations and the responsiveness and the dashboard is complete. So thank you for watching this video. If you like this design, do like the video, and if you have any questions, you can always ask them in the comment sections below. Thank you. This is Kishansheth signing out.